In a previous video, we drafted this basic skirt pattern which we are going to use in this video. So if you haven't watched that video already, I recommend you watch that video which I have linked up here in the card, and I've also linked it in the description before watching this video. Now in this video, we are going to cut this pattern on our muslin, sew it together, then try to see the fit and make any adjustments if necessary. Stay tuned. Hello, welcome back to the channel. Let's get started. This is a basic skirt with 2 back darts. It follows the body's shape without contouring the hollow areas. There is no design style lines. The skirt should fit comfortably with sufficient ease and in perfect balance and harmony to the body's stance. As you can see, the back pattern is bigger than the front pattern. This is so because of how the human body is. For this video, you will need your basic front and back skirt pattern, a muslin, your pins, zipper, tailor's chalk, measuring tape, your scissors, then a ruler. Now let's go to the cutting table and start cutting our fabric. This is the salvage edge of the fabric, and this is the lengthwise grain. That's the most stable grain line of the fabric. So for this skirt, I'll be using the lengthwise grain because of the properties that it have. Thus, it is the most stable grain of the fabric, and a skirt needs the stability to be able to hang nicely on the body. For a basic skirt, unless the pattern specifically indicate or it is a design preference, it should always be cut on the lengthwise grain. So as you can see, my fold is parallel to the salvage of the fabric. So you'll be cutting the front part of the skirt first. So I'll go ahead and pin the front part of our skirt onto our muslin, matching the center front to the folded edge of the muslin. I want to make sure that our grain line is parallel to the salvage edge. Then go ahead and pin it nicely. If you like what I'm doing, can you please give the video a thumbs up, as it helps motivate me to do more. After pinning your pattern onto your muslin, transfer all notches and marks onto the muslin, just like so. Then go ahead and trace your pattern, or you can just go ahead and then cut your pattern if you want. But let me go ahead and then trace it before cutting. Since I've already added the seam allowance you need for the skirt, I wouldn't be adding any seam allowance. I will just trace the exact skirt pattern, then cut it on muslin, just like so. But if you made a seamless pattern, after tracing the skirt, you need to add your seam allowance before cutting. Now go ahead and transfer your dart and then mark all notches so that it will be easier when you are sewing or when you are joining your skirt. So I'll notch the dart so that it will be easier for me to transfer the dart to the other side of the skirt. Then I'll notch the seam allowance so that it's easier for me to know the amount of seam allowance I've added to the skirt. Now transfer your dart to both sides of your fabric, just like so that it will be easier for you to sew your dart. Let me go ahead and transfer all the marks that you need for the skirt. So this is my seam allowance, that's all the sewing line. So this line is where I will be sewing on my fabric. I'll do the same for the other side of the pattern too. So when you open the front pattern, this is what you'll be having. Now we need to pin our dart. So put the 2 dart legs together, making sure the 2 notches are matching. The 2 notches at the left and right are matching, and the notch in the middle is right in the middle. Then go ahead and pin it. For this fabric, it's difficult to differentiate the right side from the wrong side. So I just pick one side to use as my wrong side because the dart needs to face the wrong side of the fabric. pin the second dart just like you did for the first one. Now let's go ahead and cut the back part of our pattern too. I'm placing 2 muslin right sides together just like so. Then I'll pin them together just like so. I am cutting the back part of the skirt on the lengthwise grain. Make sure the grain line on your pattern is parallel to the selvage edge, also known as factory finish edge or self-finishing edge of your fabric. Now go ahead and pin your pattern onto the muslin just like so. Then go ahead and transfer all your notches, or you can go ahead and then trace the whole pattern onto the muslin. To transfer the dart point to the fabric, that's both sides of the fabric, put a pin through the dart point, then mark the position on both sides of the fabric to locate where your dart end on the fabric, just like so. Now go ahead and cut your pattern. Since I've already added seam allowance, I don't need to add any seam allowance, so I'll just go ahead and cut my pattern. But if you drafted a seamless pattern, that's you did not add any seam allowance, you need to add your seam allowance before cutting your pattern. Make sure you transfer all necessary notches so that when you are sewing, it will be easier for you to join your pattern. Transfer your dart onto the fabric just like so. Then transfer your seam allowance lines just like so. So if you want to fold the hem, this is how you go about it. You fold it 1/2 inch in, then you fold it again 1/2 inch on the hem line, just like so. Since I added 1 inch, I'll fold 1/2 inch first, then I'll fold again 1/2 inch to get the hem for the skirt, just like so. So you can go ahead and pin that. This creates the hem for the skirt. Now let's work on the opposite side of our back skirt. The two fabrics still together, flip to the opposite side of the fabric and repeat the same process. That's mark the dart, the seam allowance, the hem allowance, then the zipper allowance. Now we need to fold our dart so that we'll be able to sew it. So make sure you match the notch marks you made when you were cutting your pattern. Then make sure the center line is also in the middle. Then pin just like so. Do the same for the other darts, making sure that all your notches are matching equally and that the center dart line is right in the center. Then pin just like so. As you can see, my pin is touching the line in the front and then in the back. Do the same for the other part of the skirt. Then you take it to the sewing machine and sew on the line, making sure that we sew right on the line. This is how your back dart should look like after pinning. So now take it to your sewing machine and sew right on the line to sew your dart, just like so. So this is how you sew your dart. When you are sewing a dart, you only backstitch at the beginning of your stitch and not the end. That's when you are coming off the dart point. You don't need to backstitch. You just sew right off the fabric, just like so. Then leave some few inches of thread tail to tie later. Repeat the dart sewing process for all your darts. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and click on the bell notification so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. Repeat the same process for all 6 darts. That's 4 at the back and then 2 in the front. This is how your skirt will look like after sewing the dart. Now, take the 2 thread tails you left, then tie a knot with it to secure your dart, just like so. Cut the excess thread tail off. Then repeat the process for all darts. This is how your dart will look like after sewing. After sewing your dart, this is what you have. Now, take your back part, front side together. Make sure you are matching your notches. Then, pin your center back just like so. So now we are going to sew on this line, but since we are adding zipper, I'll sew to the hip line, then I'll use basting stitch to sew to the waistline. Now go ahead and sew your center back using the zipper allowance line, just like so, to join the two panels together. The concentration to this video is not about the finishing but rather the fit, so I will not go into detail on fixing the zipper and everything, because I may even take off the zipper to make adjustments, so there's no need concentrating much on the zipper. But in our next videos, we will start incorporating finishes to the patterns when we are sewing it. After joining the two panels at the back using the zipper allowance line, this is what you have. Now go ahead and place your zipper. There are a lot of techniques that you can use to place your zipper. In this video, I just want an opening where I'll be able to wear the skirt. So I'm not concentrating much on the zipper and the fixing of the zipper. So I'll just go ahead and then fix the zipper like this and then sew on it. After sewing, I realized I shouldn't have used this technique as my thread is a black thread, so it was just showing on the front side of the skirt. Now go ahead and use your seam ripper to take out the basting stitch you placed on there where you were going to place your zipper, to expose the zipper just like so. Now place your front part of your skirt, that's right side to right side, onto your back panel just like so. Match all your notches or the seam allowance lines, then pin and sew on the side seam allowance lines. So after pinning, this is what you have. Go ahead and take it to your sewing machine and sew on the side seam allowance lines just like so. After joining the side seam, your basic skirt is ready. Go ahead and wear it and check the fitness and make any adjustments if necessary. If you're happy with the fit, you can go ahead and practice some finishing techniques like folding and sewing the hemline, adding waistband, etc. Now fold your hem using that's ½ inch in, then ½ inch again to create the hemline just like so. Then take it to your sewing machine and sew it using 1/8 of an inch allowance. This is the end product after sewing and joining everything. Now let's go ahead and wear it and see the fitness and then make any adjustments if necessary. Thank you so much for watching to this stage. If this video have been helpful, please don't forget to click on the like button. Share so that others can also benefit from this video. Comment any question you have or recommendations. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So, what do you think I need to do to this skirt? What fitness issues have you seen in the skirt? Or what adjustments do you think this skirt need? Let me know in the comment section. Until then, in our next video, we will be drafting a basic bodice block with a bust dart using a different technique. So, stay tuned.